Heal faster with meditation. Hey everybody, this is Mike Erlob with another episode of Power Your Life. So I want to share with you guys a little story. So recently my son Garrett, he had started shooting trap. And I think I've talked about this before, but I'm so proud of him. He started shooting on his team, his trap team for Underwood back in March. And he had, this is the first time he had actually been involved with this, this sport. And I didn't have a lot of experience with it either. So this has been a new experience for our entire family. And he only got a couple of practices in back in March before the COVID restrictions hit and just shut it down. And then recently, a few months ago, they had started up to resume practices this in the fall. And as with any new skill, Garrett struggled with being consistent about hitting those clay targets. But I got to tell you, watching his progress over the last several weeks, it was like super inspiring for me. He really worked hard at it, and his persistence it's really starting to pay off. So when he very first started back in March, he could only hit maybe 2 or 3 out of his 50 targets. And then at the end of August, he was hitting about 13 to 14, and now he's hitting over 20 of the 50 targets. So, he went from hitting a couple to, hitting almost half. And this really got me thinking. It got me thinking about how just important it is to be persistent and persevere through things. You see, too often I think people tend to quit when things they're working on start to get a little tough. It seems to me that when we're faced with an obstacle or challenge, many folks will just try and back away from it, or they'll try to avoid it completely. When really what they need to do is they need to take that obstacle head on and keep at it until they overcome the challenge. And I think that this is really, for the most part, it's human nature. It's human nature for us to avoid the pain of the obstacle or challenge. But when you think about it, anything in life worth having is not going to be easy. There are going to be challenges. There are going to be trials and tribulations along the way. There will be obstacles and roadblocks that are present. And you should never shy away from these obstacles, because the obstacle is the way. Overcoming the obstacle or challenge it's how we learn. It's how we improve ourselves, and the perseverance and persistence is how you succeed. So this process, really, to me, it's actually a blessing, because in this is the journey of perseverance and persistence to overcome the challenge that you are faced with. And that, in turn, builds your character. So you see, I believe that everything we face in life, that there's always a lesson that God is trying to teach us. And if we open our eyes and our hearts, we can learn from what it is that we are facing, and we can be better for that experience. So, it's all about persistence and perseverance. But I want to talk to you today a little bit about meditation and breathing. So at times, it can seem to you, and it seems to me too, that life is just coming at you in every different direction, right? I mean, you got things, coming at you on your phone, you got, TV input, you got the radio input, news media, everything is fast. And I don't know about you, but you see, for me, that can become incredibly overwhelming. And, I know because I have personally experienced that feeling. Over the last several years, I've really been working at expanding and building my physical therapy practice. And, in that time, I experienced a period of unrest and overwhelm. And it just seemed like to me that I had so much to do. And it really didn't matter what I did, that I just wasn't making any progress. I don't know if you've ever had that feeling where you just feel like you're just spinning your wheels, You're doing stuff, but you're really not making any progress. And, you look at it and you see how much more you have to do. And then it starts looping over in your mind, and, it just gets kind of crazy. And that really led me to a period of time where there was a lot of increased worry and anxiety. And, this in turn caused me to just have trouble shutting down my mind. And even at night, I would lay in bed and I would just sit there and I wouldn't be able to sleep because my mind would just be racing. It would be thinking about, hey, all of the things that I didn't get done that day. And then it would be thinking about all of the things that I needed to do the next day. And it just kept this round and round loop, and it would keep me up. And it became really apparent to me that my own thoughts were becoming my worst enemy. And I couldn't relax, I couldn't just stop and be in the moment because I couldn't get that thinking process to shut down. It gave me trouble, like I said, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't be present with my family. When I would sit there, have you ever been there where you're at home, but you're really not at home? You know what I mean? I mean, you're there physically, but mentally you're kind of checked out because your mind's racing and you're thinking about all of these other things in life, whether it's your job or whether it's other worries or concerns, and someone's trying to talk to you and you're not there. That's how I was. I mean, my wife knew that there was something wrong. She could tell. And the more I struggled to take control of things, it really felt like the harder that it got. It was kind of like this elusive, trying to get control of your mind and your thoughts. And you would reach out there and you thought you were just getting ready to grab it and, you couldn't. And that really, that concerned me, that worried me. I mean, it even led me to the point where I was starting to have trouble completing different tasks and projects. I would get things started and I just couldn't carry them to completion. I started to procrastinate because I felt this incredible overwhelm that came along with that anxiety of my mind not shutting down. And I started to experience, it's a term that I call monkey brain, okay? And all I wanted was just to have peace and calm, to be able to sleep at night. And it was about that time that a friend of mine, who was another physical therapist, he suggested that I try meditation. And I'll be honest with you, at first I kind of laughed at it. It's like, meditation, what's that going to do? What is just sitting there, thinking going to do? I can't shut my mind off. So why would I want to think more? I want to get it to shut off. And he said, no. He said, Mike, really, seriously. He said, he uses it too. And he said, it really helps me. And I said, okay, well, I'll give it a try. And at first, I had no idea on how to do it. I really didn't even know what meditation was. But I trusted him, I respected him, he swore by it, so I was like, okay, well, if it's helping him, I'll give it a try. Because he was having the same problem that I was. He couldn't shut down. It was actually even a little bit deeper than not being able to shut down, because not only mentally was I having those troubles, but I was also starting to have more problems with back pain. So my back pain was starting to increase at about that same time, and I would start getting kind of pain in through the neck and occasional headaches. So I knew that it was creating some problems for me physically as well as just kind of the mental thinking. So I tried a few apps. First one I tried was Headspace, which I liked. I thought that was good. There was another one, Simple Habit, which what I also found to be pretty helpful. Progressed on, tried another app, Calm. I think that one's a lot of people are familiar with. I eventually settled with an app called Abide, because I wanted a meditation app that would enhance my faith as a Christian. So I've got to tell you guys that it doesn't matter what app that you use. All of those are good. And there's a lot more that are out there. But what I want to share with you is that this regular meditation, it made a huge difference for me. Okay, I didn't notice it right at first, but I just started out with a few minutes in the morning. And, I think I did like 5 minutes, and I eventually built up to where I was doing like 10 or 15 minutes, because that's really all I had time for in the morning. And then I eventually started using it over my lunch hour for a little 5-minute quick meditation, just to kind of get my thoughts reorganized at lunchtime, because I found that I was like really productive in the morning, but then I would lose my productivity in the afternoon because things were coming at me in every different direction. So I found that lunchtime meditation helped. And then I started using it in the evening too, just to help me to go to sleep. And I still use it to this day. I still use it at nighttime. And tell you, within a few weeks, I really noticed a big difference. I mean, I started noticing things like I was able to think more clearly. I was able to, when somebody would engage me, I was a lot more present. I was able to pay attention to them. And you know, this stuff didn't all happen at once. It was a gradual process. But I started noticing that, you know, some of my aches and pains were getting better. I was sleeping better through the night. I was waking up not as tired. But the biggest one was just how it helped my personal relationships, you know, with my family, and how it helped me, how I just felt more clear and directed when I would think of exactly what I wanted to say. And it didn't feel like I had all this stuff in my brain all circling around like a big storm. You know, it just felt like everything was a lot more calm and smooth. And I got to tell you, you know, I mean, I've researched this stuff, and meditation, I mean, it has been proven just not only to help you mentally, but also with aspects of your physical healing too. And so I wanted to list out some of the benefits that you can get from meditation. You know, the big one is what I've already kind of touched upon, reducing your stress, all right? Meditation, so how meditation works is, if you guys really want to know, is it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, okay? And it calms the sympathetic nervous system. So you might remember from some of the other videos, we've talked about this fight or flight response. That is your sympathetic nervous system. That's the part that's like makes things really excited. And that's the part that doesn't want to let your brain shut down. And when that part of your nervous system is overactive and you have that imbalance, you see your body starts producing a stress hormone called cortisol. Cortisol increases your blood pressure, increases your heart rate, and it also forces your body to start storing more body fat. So meditation, not only will it help you with your thinking, will it help you with your mental clarity, will it help you with your physical healing, it'll help you lose weight too. Because when you activate that parasympathetic nervous system, you're going to lower your cortisol levels, and that's a good thing. The second thing is, and this is part of reducing the stress, is it lowers anxiety. You know, basically through that calming process of the mind and lowering that stress levels, you know, you start to find out that it's like, again, it's a gradual process. I didn't notice this all at one time, but all of a sudden one day I realized, man, I'm not worried as much. Like, things are starting to just roll off my back. I'm not, you know, I'm not worried about these things that I don't have any control over anymore. And I can just let it go. And, you know, meditation really helped me with that. The third thing is it improves your emotional health, okay? And I found this benefit to be of real value. You know, it makes you just feel more positive. All the research points at that those who meditate have been shown to improve their positivity and feelings of well-being. You know, and I can certainly attest to that because that certainly occurred with me. The other thing is it enhances self-awareness. So with regular practice, I started noticing that I really could pay more attention to not just how I felt, but also I could pay attention to what was triggering me at the time with racing thoughts. So I could learn how to pay attention to my body, how to remove those triggers, you know, from what I was experiencing. The other was the deep breathing aspect of meditation. It really seemed to enhance that aspect of self-awareness for me as well. You know, I mentioned before, my thinking got more clear, but one of the big ones is my attention span started to get better. It improved. So before meditation, you know, it was like I had that, remember I talked about that monkey brain? You know, I like to think of it, if you guys have seen the movie Up, they've got that dog in it, and every time he hears the word squirrel, you know, he's like, go in here, go in there. You know, he's all over the place. You know, that's kind of how I felt, that monkey brain, like you just can't attend to any one thing, you know? You're like working on one thing, and then, oh, this gets my attention. Oh, that gets my attention. Well, that got better. My attention span, I could focus. I started completing projects. I started getting things done and carrying them all the way and not worried about what the next item was until I was done dealing with what was in front of me. You know, so that got better. I could sit and give somebody my undivided attention. And I'll tell you what, my wife and kids really love this aspect, is that I was being more present in the moment. I started having improved memory. Now, my family will probably tell you that I still misplace my reading glasses. I still do. Always looking all over the house for them. But what I started noticing as far as my memory goes wasn't like where I left my car keys, or left my reading glasses, but it was like I could recall conversations better. You see, it was like I had less clutter in my brain. I could really think. Okay, and my thoughts were more coherent, and they were just more clear to me. And it was like what was happening is I was slowing down my brain, and that made all of my thinking more clear. It was kind of like it removed all the junk and created room and space that I could now actually breathe and think. Conversations were more fun, they were more engaging, there were no more distractions. Meditation the research shows that it does lead people to be more kind and thoughtfulness. And I'll tell you, I did notice that. I do think that it does make people more aware of other people's feelings when they meditate. That in turn makes you want to be more positive with those around you. So that's a huge benefit. One of them is it improves sleep. Okay, that was a big plus for me. So, sleep is huge. If you're trying to heal, okay, and I don't care if you're trying to heal mentally, physically, spiritually, any kind of healing, you have to sleep, okay? Sleep is required. And you need 7 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep every single night. I don't care if you think that, well, I can get by on 4 hours of sleep. Quite honestly, you're doing your body a disservice, and you're actually going to create a really unhealthy pattern. Sleep is huge. That is when your body produces growth hormone. And growth hormone is one of those hormones that your body needs in order to repair itself. And that only happens as you go through the different REM cycles of sleep. So you have to get into that, rapid eye movement portion of the sleep cycle. And you only stay in those periods for short periods of time, and then you start cycling again through the sleep cycle. But the longer you stay asleep, the more of those REM cycles that you have, the more growth hormone that your body produces, the more healing that your body can do. And so if you only sleep 2 or 3 hours and then you wake up, and then you try and fall asleep again, and then you wake up, and you have that interrupted sleep because your mind keeps waking you up, you got to try meditation, because I guarantee it will help you. Less pain. My back pain got better. We just talked about the sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system, and balancing those two out. And that has been well documented that those who are in chronic pain, their nervous system is out of balance. Okay, so their sympathetic is way more active, and it's creating all that cortisol, creating all those stress hormones. That triggers pain. That increases into chronic inflammatory levels. That also can affect intestinal health. So meditation helps to calm that and rebalance it. The other is meditation is easy to do. It can be done anywhere by anyone. And, like I just gave you the recommendations of some apps. You don't have to have any special training. All you've got to do is just have 3 to 5 minutes and put yourself in a quiet room, lay down, turn on the app, use a guided meditation. That'll be really helpful. One of the big benefits I found was that these meditation apps really taught me how to breathe. Taught me slowing down, using the deep diaphragmatic breathing during meditation. That really seemed to help, speed up the effects of the meditation and help calm my body down. But how do you practice deep breathing? And why does that even matter with meditation? And those are really great questions that, guess what, we're going to cover next time. So, we'll go into the deep breathing on our next episode. Which reminds me, by the way, if you're having any trouble with getting your body right, from back pain to headaches to shoulder pain, and you really feel like you need a little bit of help, you can set up a breakthrough exam session just by going to the webpage that's listed in the comments for the show. And as always, I really like to leave you with this inspiring and thought-provoking quote from Charles Swindoll. And what he said was, on tough days, you gotta have heart. Don't quit. Whatever you do, persevere. So I'm going to let you guys think on that one. Until next time, power your life and keep moving forward.